Assalamu alaikum and good day everyone. Allow me to introduce first myself. My name is Morsidin T. Bansil, and to this video, I'm going to report the part 3 of the chapter 7, which is the different learners and marginalized group. So, without further ado, let's get started. So the first one is child laborers or domestic workers. According to International Labor Organization or ILO, a child labor deprives children of their childhood, dignity, and potential, affecting their physical and mental development. Child labor is often tied to educational marginalization. Many children in labor cannot access education, and those who can are often too tired to learn effectively. Sa madaling salita, sabi dito, nakaharm yung children dahil kahit bata pa sila is pinagtatrabaho na sila, which is mapanganib para sa kanila, or minsan kadalasan nagiging illegal yung work na para sa kanila. Then, dahil sa kanilang work sa child labors is nakakalimutan na nila ang pumasok sa school, or instead na pumasok sila sa school is binibigay nila yung time sa pag-work. So based on International Labor Organization 2017, they have 152 million children worldwide are in child labors, with 64 million boys, 88 million girls, and 73 million in hazardous work. So, makikita natin dito na pinakita nga na mapanganib talaga ang child labor. Siyempre, mga bata pa sila tapos ganito na yung mga trabaho nila. 'Di ba mapanganib? So, hindi lang sa sarili nila kundi pati na sa pag-iisip nila na maaaring ikasira ng future nila. Pero ginagawa nila ito kasi wala silang choice kundi magtrabaho para makasurvive. So according to World Day Against Child Labor on June 2015, with the theme No to Child Labor, Yes to Quality Education, stressing the need for free, mandatory, and aligned education for all children. The goal of this is to create a system where children can learn and grow without being exploited in the workforce, and also to ensure that children have access quality education and that teacher training and education are of high standard. Some causes of child labor is poverty, the lack of education, and the lack of school. So, yun na nga, we're experiencing child labor in some cases. The first one is a poverty, where families living in extremely poverty may rely on the income generated by their children to meet basic needs like food, shelter, and health care. In that case, napipilitan yung bata na magtrabaho to help them family, to help them parents, instead na pumasok sa paaralan. So the second one is a lack of education. So there are many regions that is limited access to quality education or educational opportunities. So without proper schooling, children may not have the chance to develop skills that could lead to better job in the future. So kaya't napipilitan sila na magtrabaho sa mababang edad. So the last one is a lack of school. So in some areas, there simply are not enough school, or sabihin natin na malayo sila sa paaralan kung saan sila nakatira. So they can make attending school impractical or impossible, leaving children with no option but to work instead of pursuing an education. So one of the goal, or let's say a Sustainable Development Goal, or SDG 8.7, is to eradicate child labor by year 2025. So the next one is the indigenous people. Indigenous people are those with historical continuity with pre-colonial societies, often living in marginalized conditions. Indigenous communities face inadequate access to culturally relevant education. Teachers are often untrained for their needs, and curricula do not reflect indigenous languages or cultures. One of the consequences of it is the enrollment rates, higher dropout rates, and poor academic. Cultural loss is also a significant concern. Some challenges of indigenous people are marginalization, poor access to education, cultural erasure. Although they have indigenous people, but also they have right to education. The Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People 2007 affirms their right to self-managed education that reflect their cultural diversity. UNESCO promotes inclusive education frameworks for indigenous people. Yes, both the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People 2007 and UNESCO promotes inclusive education for indigenous people. Based on the Article 24 of the 2007 Declaration states that indigenous people have the right to establish and control their own educational system and institution. This include the right to, the first one is education in their own languages. The second one is education in a manner that reflects their cultural methods of teaching and learning. The last one is access to all levels of forms of education without discrimination. So let's proceed to another marginalized group, which is the abused children. Child maltreatments include physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, neglect, and exploitation. According to World Health Organization, child maltreatment is recognized as a serious public health and human rights issue worldwide. Abuse leads to physical harm, cognitive and emotional impairments, and long-term psychological damage. Abuse significantly affects educational outcomes, including school dropout, absenteeism, and poor academic performance. Child abuse o pang-aabuso sa mga bata ay tumutukoy sa pisikal, emosyonal at sexual na pananakit, kapabayaan at pagsasamantala. Ang mga batang nakakaranas ng abuse ay hindi lang nagkakaroon ng pisikal na sakit, kundi pati na rin ng mga problema sa pag-iisip at emosyon, pati na rin ang long-term psychological damage. Dahil dito, malaki ang epekto nito sa kanilang edukasyon. Maraming bata ang naaabuso ang nagiging dahilan ng school dropouts, madalas na hindi pagpasok at mababang performance ng bata. Sa mga marginalized na grupo o yung mga nasa hindi paborableng kalagayan, mas malaki ang epekto ng pang-aabuso. Madalas kasi kulang sila sa suporta at resources, kaya't mahirap para sa kanila na malampasan ang mga hamon sa buhay. Ang mga karanasan nila ng pang-aabuso ay lalo pang nagpapahirap sa kanilang akses sa edukasyon at mga serbisyo, kaya't mas mahirap para sa kanila na magtagumpay sa paaralan. We have refugees or displaced children. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees or UNHCR defines refugees as someone who has been forced to flee his or her country because of persecution for reasons of race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership in a particular social group. Yes, UNHCR defines refugees as someone who has been forced to flee his or her country because of persecution, war, and violence. Mayroon silang malaking takot na malagay sila sa panganib dahil sa kanilang lahi, relihiyon, nasyonalidad, opinyong politikal o pagiging miyembro ng isang particular na grupo sa lipunan. Hindi sila kayang protektahan o ayaw nilang humingi ng proteksyon mula sa gobyerno ng kanilang bansa. Hindi nila kayang bumalik sa dating lugar na tinitirhan nila dahil sa takot na ma-persecute. So the UNHCR works with many organizations to help refugees including the World Food Program or the WFP, the UN Child Funds or the UNICEF, the World Health Organization or the WHO, the UN Development Program or the UNDP, and etc. So according to global statistic, we had 21.3 millions of people who experiencing refugees, and 51% of it are under 18%. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goal or the UNSDG 4 is to ensure quality education for all children. So they have complications that are hindrances to the quality of education given to these children. The first one is countries that host them are unable to protect refugees' right to education simply because they themselves has a distended system of education and vulnerable government and economic institutions. Ibig sabihin nito, nahihirapan ang mga bansang tumatanggap ng mga refugee na tiyakin ang karapatan ng mga refugee sa edukasyon dahil ang kanilang sariling sistema ng edukasyon ay hindi maayos o labis na pinipilit. Bukod dito, mahina rin ang kanilang mga institusyong panggobyerno at ekonomiya. Kaya hindi nila kayang magbigay ng sapat na edukasyon sa mga refugee. Because of the length of time refugees and displaced children are in resettlement and refugees areas, educational resources given to them. Ibig sabihin nito, dahil matagal na ang mga refugee at mga batang displaced sa mga lugar ng resettlement is nauubos o hindi na sapat ang mga mapagkukunang pang-edukasyon para sa kanila. So, habang tumatagal ang kanilang pananatili, lumalaki ang pangangailangan ngunit nauubos ang mga resources para matugunan ito. The third one is language, and the lack of materials is also a concern. Ibig sabihin, may mga hadlang sa wika at ang kakulangan ng mga kinakailangang materyales sa edukasyon ay mga karagdagang problema na kailangang tugunan. The last one is the child who have been exposed to war and violence demonstrate signs of psychosocial problems that are not addressed. Meaning, ang mga batang nakaranas o nakakita ng digmaan at karahasan is nagpapakita ng mga sintomas ng mga emosyonal at psikolohikal na problema. Ngunit hindi ito naaaksyonan o natutugunan ng maayos. The last one is children and conflict zones. Eglantyne Jebb said that all wars, whether just or unjust, disastrous or victorious, are waged against the child. Ibig sabihin, ang mga bata ang madalas na nagiging biktima ng pagkawasak, pagkamatay at pagkawala ng seguridad sa panahon ng digmaan. Sila rin ang maghihirap mula sa mga pangmatagalang epekto ng karanasan, trauma at kawalan ng pagkakataon na magtaguyod ng magandang buhay. Ang quote ni Jebb ang nagpapakita na anuman ang dahilan o kinalabasan ng digmaan, ang mga bata ay kadalasang pinakamatinding nagdurusa. Children in conflict zone are subject to violence, exploitation, and human rights violations during wars. These include killing, maiming, recruitment as soldiers, sexual violence, abductions, and attacks on schools and hospitals. Ibig sabihin, ang mga bata sa mga lugar na apektado ng digmaan ay nakakaranas ng karahasan, pagsasamantala at paglabag sa kanilang mga karapatang pantao sa panahon ng digmaan. Kabilang dito ang pagpatay, pananakit, sa pilitang pagpapasali bilang mga sundalo, sexual na karahasan, pagdukot at mga pag-atake sa mga paaralan at hospital. Children in conflict zones suffer from physical and psychological trauma, including loss of family, violence, displacement, and disrupted education. Among the educational challenges of it is enrollment traps, schools are destroyed or unsafe, and educational quality diminishes due to the conflict. While laws exist to protect children's rights, enforcement is often weak. Government and individual must take a stand to protect these children from harm. Ang mga bata sa mga lugar na apektado ng labanan ay nakakaranas ng malubhang mga hamon. Parehong pisikal at emosyonal, ang karanasan at kawalan ng katiyakan sa mga lugar na ito ay nagdudulot ng matinding trauma. Maaaring mawala ng mga bata ng kanilang pamilya, makaranas ng direktang karahasan, mapilitang lumikas mula sa kanilang mga tahanan at mawalan umaantala ang kanilang edukasyon. Isa sa mga pangunahing problema ay ang pagbaba ng bilang ng mga estudyante. Maraming mga bata ang hindi nakakapag-aral dahil sa pagkasira ng paaralan na maaaring maging delikado o nasira dahil sa labanan. Kahit na ang mga paaralang natitira, ang kalidad ng edukasyon ay madalas na bumababa dahil sa kakulangan ng mga guro, kagamitan o kaligtasan. Bagamat may mga batas na naglalayong protektahan ang mga karapatan ng mga bata, hindi palaging naipapatupad ang mga ito ng maayos sa mga lugar ng labanan. Dahil dito, patuloy na nagdurusa ang mga bata. Mahalaga na kumilos ang mga gobyerno at mga individual upang tiyakin na ang mga batang ito ay protektado mula sa karagdagang panganib at mabigyan sila ng proteksyon at mga pagkakataon na nararapat sa kanila. So that's it. Thank you for watching and I hope you have learned something on this video. Sukran. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.